Good morning, everybody. This is I am Pam. Um, excuse me, my voice is a little rough today. It's Saturday morning on September 4th. I'm just sitting out here with Potter, and it's quiet as my husband and granddaughter have gone into town for a bit. So I thought I'd take advantage of having this quiet time to reflect on the past couple of days and just kind of tell you what's going on. I'm enjoying the morning. It's absolutely beautiful. I really kind of need the peace and quiet right now. Some of you that are my friends and that follow me on my regular Facebook page know that we lost our Maggie girl yesterday. And sorry if I get a little choked up. I just have to remember to breathe. But anyway, it was a sudden ending that we weren't expecting at all. Miss Maggie is a almost 11-year-old Mastiff Rhodesian Ridgeback mix. She's absolutely sweet as can be, the sweetest gentle giant you would ever meet. Her growl or her bark when she would first meet you was all pretense. It was just all false pretense, but once you got to know her, or anybody that got to know her loved her. We've had her for about 6 years now. We got her when we had Madden. Madden was our black lab, and they became the best of buds for a few years, and then Madden failed, and we ended up having to put Madden down. Now, he was kind of planned because we knew his hips were failing. His arthritis was so terribly bad, he couldn't crawl up the stairs to our house or anything. So we had Madden, and we put Madden down. And then we had, but then we still had Maggie. And Maggie's, it's probably been 4 years since I think 4 or 5 years since we put Madden down. 4 or 5, something like that. I can't remember. And it really doesn't matter because we were so bonded with the time that we had together. And so we had Maggie, and she grieved and she missed him, but she still remained the same beautiful, warm-hearted dog. She loved everybody. And then, of course, just recently we got Potter, our puppy. We knew Maggie's hips were also failing, but they weren't nearly as bad as at the time we had made the decision to put Madden down, because Madden was losing his bowels and everything. And we knew that his was, humane for that reason. We put him to sleep, but Maggie's wasn't that bad yet. And of course, we had been giving her some CBD, some hip and joint therapy for her hips, and some probiotics and some salmon oil with her food. So she had some good nutrition to help balance out and help her stay strong, and she did really good with that. But on Thursday, Potter, on Thursday, I was at work Thursday morning, and my husband was home. Now that he's retired, he was out doing some work on the east side of our home, putting some stuff away out of the truck that he had gathered from our garage, and he wants to store it out there yonder in our old horse barn. And he had unloaded the trailer, and then he moved the truck, and then he unloaded the truck, and then he jumped in his truck. Maggie somehow got up underneath the front right passenger side of the tire. I think she was laying there in the shade with her feet straight out, and he hit her at such an angle that it rolled over her shoulder, the front tire. We believe she just either didn't hear it because her hearing was starting to go, and in combination with not being able to get up too fast. And he jumped in the truck so quickly to take off, she wasn't even expecting it. This is something that Miss Maggie would never do. She was so safe around cars. She knew not to get in the way of cars. She knew not to lay under cars. So why she was there, we're not sure. But Brainerd called me and said, and he was very upset, clearly, and he said Maggie was in trouble. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I ran over her with my truck. And I'm like, what? So immediately we thought he had ran over her whole body, like down her core or something like that, or over her hips or over her shoulders. So I told him he needed to get help, get Maggie in the truck, and he needed to take her to the vet right away. So he wasted no time. The neighbor came over and helped him lift her into the truck. She's 125 pounds of dog, so she was pretty heavy. And he took off, and he headed for Airway Heights, and I had to try to get a hold of him to let him know that vet clinic there in Airway Heights was unable to take her, because I was making phone calls while he was bringing her into Spokane. I had to meet up with him, divert him to a pet emergency clinic in Spokane. So I followed him there. We got her there, and it seemed like it took a gurney to move her, because she wouldn't move at all. And she was starting to dehydrate. You could tell she was in shock. So the pet clinic got her on a gurney and got her into the clinic for triage. And of course, we had to fill out all of the paperwork, including, do we want emergency measures, like a DNR, do not resuscitate, no CPR. I thought if she was that critical, let's just let her go. So I signed off no CPR. And then the other one was in putting her in IVs and giving her oxygen if she should be degrading so quickly, is another life-saving thing. And I said no. I said, if she's that bad, Brainerd was right there. My husband was right there and agreeing with me. And those were the two hardest signatures I've ever made in my life so far. We waited for such a long time and saw these animals come and go and be triaged. And our little Maggie, our big Maggie, they weren't talking to us yet. And so we were really concerned. But when the doctor called us from the back, she was the only doctor there. She couldn't leave any of the other patients, so she couldn't come out to talk to us. But she called us while we were in the lobby and told us that she wanted to know exactly what happened, because, there was no internal bleeding, and we were thankful for that. She checked her for that, because that's a critical thing right there. And then checked her vitals were all stable, and we're like, thank goodness. He goes, but the doctor goes, but I can't tell where her injury is other than she's favoring her left side. Yes, we can tell her hips are really bad, but the injury doesn't seem to be in her hips or in her gut. So we're trying to figure out exactly what happened. And Brainerd did everything he could to, explain how the thump that he drove over, it wasn't just an arm, like driving over a stick or over a 2x4. It was more of a boop, up and down kind of thing. So it left us kind of wondering. When he had gotten out of the truck, she was trying to crawl her way over to him from the right side of the truck to the left, and she had made it to the left front tire. And but she wouldn't move. But there was no yelping, there was no crying. Well, she did have tears, but she was not yelping or whimpering. There was no cry out when he ran over her. And it feels so terribly bad. So he tried his best to explain that. So what we believe now is that it was that shoulder he ran over that shoulder, that leg, because she was sitting at such an angle. Well, ultimately, there were no broken bones, but she did have severe nerve damage to the nerve bundle that's up underneath the armpit. Somehow that got split or separated. Um, and it really basically left her left arm, her left front leg, lifeless. She couldn't put any pressure on it. They wanted to admit her overnight. We let them do that to give her pain medications and anti-inflammatories, let her rest in a peaceful, comfortable place in the back of the clinic where she wouldn't be bothered by other yipping dogs. And it was wonderful that they did that for her. She was still maintaining her happiness and joy. You know, she was like welcoming the pets and the loves from all the technicians, but they would get her up, set her up on her feet, but she would just collapse. Her hind legs are not strong enough to support her because of her hips, and she basically could not support her body with one leg. She couldn't go outside. They tried to take her out to go potty. She can't squat. She couldn't do any of that. So they couldn't tell us whether or not her arm would improve. A nerve injury like that, as severe as it was, may never improve. You know, we could have put her in rehab or brought her home, but bringing her home would have been miserable because we have stairs into the house. She hated those stairs so bad because of her hips. She tried. She would sit at the bottom of the stairs to gain some gumption and strength to make it up those stairs so she could go in the house. We knew we couldn't carry a 125-pound dog in and out of the house all the time, switch her around, because she absolutely would not move. They had her on a gurney. She wouldn't move. She wouldn't roll herself over. She wouldn't do anything. They brought her into us yesterday when we made the decision that we would have to put her down. With a dog at her age and her hips, it was probably the best decision we could have made. I know it was the best decision we could have made. To have her see us, we got to feed her because she hadn't been eaten up until that point. So we fed her, and she was just on a gurney. She was only strapped in for safety, and it wasn't even a strap in. It was a loose little Velcro thing. So if she wanted to get up and off that gurney, she could have, but she wouldn't move. I grabbed her leg. I loved on her leg, and I tried pinching it and tried doing all this just to know for myself that that leg was pretty much gone. And there's no yelping, no pain. If it was simply, oh my goodness, if it was simply just bruising and swelling, she would have, the pain medication they had her on, it was on IV, and it would have helped her get on her feet if her leg wasn't injured that badly, if that's all it was. And that's not what it was. So I realized yesterday when we were loving on her, we had our own little private room, and we were loving on her and giving her her last meal. You can see it in her eyes. She was happy to see us, but she didn't want to live like that. Her body said more, because she was so tired and so much in pain. Her body ached just simply from being old. But anyway, it was time. And she went so peacefully. So I have been kind of in a state of numbness, I guess you can say. I know my grief is important. And I know she's in a better place. But it's so hard and final. And guys, I know she's just a dog. And some people will say there's just a dog and you'll get another. She was more than just a dog. Her and Madden were like family. And I know when we lost Madden, that was devastating, but it was a planned event. This wasn't. And so I know we could have probably gotten another couple good years out of her, working through her pain and trying to give her what is needed to be comfortable. And as long as she still showed quality of life. But this wasn't what we expected, and it was just so final. So that's what makes it so difficult. So I know I appreciate everybody's hugs, virtual hugs, and prayers and well wishes, but I really don't need apologies or sorry for your loss. I really don't need that, because we're all into our pets. We all love our dogs dearly, or we all love our cats dearly, our animals, whatever it is that you have. And God's graced us with them as part of our journey in life, and they become family. They become, Maggie was my girl. And so she was very important to me. She was so ingrained in our lives, and she absolutely did adore Potter. At first, she wasn't sure. But because he's a puppy, all he wants to do is jump and play. And she'd get excited when he'd get out of his pen from the morning and go outside and go potty together. And she would get all excited, and she would try to play with him. And she instigated the play too, but then it got too much for her. And then she would have to stop playing, and he didn't want to stop. And then that became a struggle for her. I would just deal with it on a day-by-day basis, one-on-one with her, and then maybe get Potter secluded in his own area. We keep Potter tied out most of the time when he's out front with us, but there were times I will let him run loose and let him run around and get used to the property. He has to learn his boundaries. But Maggie, she never needed to be tied up. She never needed to be leashed. She never needed to be fenced. She never needed any of that. The only thing was she was crate trained in the house when we would leave for a couple hours or longer than a few hours. If we were only gone an hour or two, we'd leave her out of her pen in the house. But she does great in her kennel when we're gone. But other than that, this dog had freedom. She knew her boundaries of the property. She protected the property line. She would go out the driveway to the road and greet people, and she just did all that. And it was awesome. It was so awesome. And Potter's gonna learn the same thing. He's still about 5.5 months old, running around like crazy. But yeah, he gets off his leash when we're outside, when we feel it's safe to do so, and he gets to run and play and check out the boundaries as well. I'm having him learn a little bit at a time. But anyway, he's not quite so sure how to handle Miss Maggie being gone. He's been looking for her. So anyway, so again, sitting out here Saturday morning, enjoying the sun, enjoying the cool breeze, just sitting out here and reflecting and thinking and praying and healing and all of that good stuff. I also want to let Jason and Leah know that she loved them so much, so because they would come down and get her and go on play dates. Leah absolutely loved Maggie, and Maggie adored her. And every time Leah or Jason would drive up, Maggie was fully excited. She wanted to get out there and see them. So last night I offered Leah, I told her that when we get Maggie's ashes back, because we are having her cremated, and when we get her ashes back, I'm going to give her some ashes so that she can keep Maggie with her also. I know Maggie was very much, very, very important or loved by Leah. She adored her. And I think she was a form of therapy for her also. So, but anyway, I asked Leah if she would want, if she had anything special she wanted us to put ashes in, or if she could think of anything. And she really couldn't at the moment. But I'm going to find her something special to put some of Maggie's ashes in, so Maggie could always be with her. Will always be with her too. So, she was like a second mommy. And and that's the next stage, is waiting to get her ashes back. So, most of our animals have been cremated. So, yeah. Yes, it's absolutely beautiful out here. So, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize, but thank you for listening to my ongoing rant and babble. I think that it helps me immensely to share the details. I know everything on Facebook, for those that follow, know that, I didn't give a lot of details, but I did wear my heart on my sleeve. But this is part of my healing journey, is to help share and document, the life of Maggie. And I'm going to be working on putting together a video for her. I did with my other dogs and my cat that we recently lost last year to the smoke invasion we had. I'm going to work on putting together a video for Maggie, but I think I'm just going to let my emotions rest for a while, because it's just going to stir things up again. But again, a part of the healing journey, and I'm going to put in a memorial for her. So I hope to put that out soon, as soon as I can put it together when I'm ready. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. And I hope you have a God bless day. It's Saturday. It's beautiful. It's Labor Day weekend. So please, everybody, stay safe and love your loved ones. Thank you. Bye.